I forgot about him for a minute, and then he tried to follow me on Twitter a couple months ago, and then that's when I screenshotted it, and I was like, "There's no way he's bad."
As for what he exactly did, look at the threads. That tells the story in whole. Constant harassment, stalking, plagiarizing, impersonating, identity theft. The whole thing was just chaos. Pure, raw, and sinister chaos.
I had a friend in high school who was shot and killed, and so Keyunna, whenever they got upset, they said, "Oh yeah, that's not what your dead friend said after I can't even read that. I don't even want to read that."
I was kind of just sick of them continuously dodging people, and at the same time, they would just, claim that, oh, I beat everybody, so I'm just like, alright. And I just went out and made the video, kind of just, calling them out completely.
So I'm gonna put this simply. Either you get in the ring and you fight me, or shut the fuck up.
Because I wasn't on his side when he was taking people's clips, and then he started doing some weird stuff. The next thing you know, he's taking my clips, my Twitch banner, and all that. It was just like a lot of unnecessary drama that didn't need to happen.
But he had like this Flame King Leon phase where eventually he started saying he would burn his haters, and that's when things went too far.
Up to this point, I've shown stuff about Keyunna that will at the very least make one raise their eyebrow at him. But to be honest, this event made me go from knowing Keyunna had some issues to making me genuinely pissed at him for some of the stuff that he did. Now I'm gonna blame you if you get pissed at him too after this act. This section will be a bit lengthy, but for good reason. There will also be constant cuts for me to testimony, but these testimonies are essential to proving points in this video. This is Omega, a Marth main from Indiana. While I haven't interacted with him or even heard of him before the making of this video, he's provided numerous resources for fellow Marth mains, such as a YouTube playlist of Marth guides and releasing hitboxes for the character as well. Omega seems like a great person and wants to help others improve. Unfortunately, this desire to help others would cause harm to be sent this way, and Omega acknowledges this.
I don't know if people have told you this about me before, but I am kind to a fault. I want to help others, and sometimes that hurts me in the process, such as my situation with Yuki. So naturally I tried to help him however I could. Review his VODs, coach him if he needed anything, be a guide, etc. I wanted to help him because that is in my nature.
Omega first heard about Keyunna around 2019, but he didn't think much of him at the time.
I believe that it was in 2019 when I met him, maybe a little bit later or earlier. I remember seeing him on Twitter saying that he wanted to become the best Marth in the world. I didn't think anything of it, as he wasn't doing anything necessarily wrong or bad. I just saw someone struggling to get better over a small period of time. I saw him striving for something, and knowing that I was capable of helping him with what he wanted, I allowed him in my life, ignorant of what the future would hold. I did that because, at my time, and to my knowledge, he was innocent. He had not done anything at all yet, according to my limited knowledge. And I wholeheartedly believe and wish for this to be true, because that gives me hope that at one point he was innocent, and that at one point he did do things right. But the most likely and most logical explanation is that I was just witnessing the calm before the storm.
Keyunna, presumably wanting to get better at using Marth, went to Omega to get better, and like Omega said, everything seemed to be going smoothly, and Keyunna didn't seem off to him. That was until about a month later, when Keyunna was caught stealing someone's video.
I don't remember who, but if what I remember is correct, Yuki stole a video from someone. Once is a fluke, twice is a pattern. I knew that he was immature just by our previous interactions, and so I gave him the benefit of the doubt. I confronted him privately about it and basically told him that what he did wasn't really nice and that he should make amends. He did, albeit somewhat annoyed, but he did, and things proceeded as normal.
My question is, why would you be annoyed if you got caught stealing clips when Rats to take the video down? Seems suspect if you ask me. Regardless, things would be relatively normal for Omega and Keyunna after that, until Keyunna was caught stealing another clip, this time for one of Omega's friends. This will make Omega see that Keyunna was a bit of a problem, so after the second instance of Keyunna being caught stealing clips, Omega decided to distance himself from Keyunna.
Everything was fine for another month or two, until he stole a clip from someone again. This time, I believe it to be Nightmare, who is a good friend of mine. Once is a fluke, twice is a pattern. I recognized this, told him to apologize again, and guide him through that and his feelings. And once things were settled, I decided to quietly part away from him.
Omega managed to ignore and stay out of Keyunna's sights for some time after, but it wouldn't be long until Omega was back on Keyunna's radar. And let's just say that it wouldn't be for a good reason.
I was mostly successful for a couple of months. Staying out of the radar from Yuki, I've come to realize is nearly impossible. However, something that I achieved for a short while. A miracle if I'm being completely honest. I do recall him doing some other things to people, and that was something I chose to ignore because it wasn't a big deal to me at the time. The extent of the drama that I knew of was just stealing clips, and so I decided to leave things be. After some peace and quiet, I got a DM on Twitter from Yuki asking for some emotional help again. And that was where everything changed for me, and that is where Yuki started to target me.
As I mentioned earlier, Omega helped Keyunna before, whether it was improving in Smash or talking through Keyunna's life situations. So when Keyunna asked Omega for some emotional help, Omega helped him out like usual because of his desire to help people. But a couple of days later, Keyunna did a 180 and decided to harass Omega, one of the people who was helping and comforting him.
I did try to help him with whatever he needed because he actively sought me for solace. And in the past, from my point of view, I did help him. So of course I would not ignore a plea for help. I was a fool. I should have seen it coming. But whatever happened was inevitable. A day or two later, after me accepting to help him, Yuki decided to flip a switch. Then I was the target.
The harassment, as we saw from Act 1 and will continue to see, was childish. But don't take my word for it. Listen to Omega detail what the harassment was, how it affected him initially.
The harassment was very childish. It was full of name-calling, holier than thou, playing dumb, constant negative comments directed at me, things like that. Although it was childish bullying, it was nonetheless bullying and harassment. In the moment of it all, it was hard. Not necessarily what he did, but more so the constant negativity day in and day out. I was scared of what was going to happen next. Aggravated by him constantly putting me on blast. Sad that he knew what he was doing and continuing to do it. I felt trapped, numb, afraid, anxious, so many emotions I don't know how to word it all.
It wasn't just harassment either. Keyunna even resorted to stalking Omega's Twitter page. Admittedly, Omega states the stalking wasn't that bad, but it was added on to the harassment Keyunna was already doing.
He would stalk my page and repeat some of my posts nearly word for word as to aggravate me, or say some backhanded comment in response to a tweet I sent out. The stalking was a cause of anxiety. It was an anxiety that I had developed from him because I never knew how far he would go, or how long this was going to go on for.
Now, some of you may be thinking, well, if Omega's being harassed and stalked by Keyunna, why don't you just block him so you don't have to deal with them anymore? Now, I could tell you a reason, but seeing as this is Omega's act, he can tell you 2 reasons as to why he didn't block Keyunna.
Firstly, is that if I did, I know he would get around some other way, either via a different platform or just creating a new account to continue the volleys of cyberbullying. It would be a temporary fix, not solve the problem completely. Second thing was the moral issue that I had as well. If I block him, he's still there, and he'll continue to do this either to me or someone else. Better me than someone else. Not only was that part of the second reason, but if I blocked him, that meant giving up on him. That meant that I would continue the cycle of hatred. I would be less of myself, not standing up for my morals and core values. I wouldn't be honest to myself.
Omega would keep taking harassment from Keyunna, and it would negatively affect his well-being. Omega was feeling a swarm of emotions, all while feeling like he didn't deserve any of it. Because he didn't, imagine trying your best to help someone just for them to start constantly harassing you.
When I was in the thick of it, I felt powerless and trapped. I was just his punching bag that he decided when I was going to get punished for a crime that I didn't commit with no real rhyme or reason. It was just chaos. Chaos that I had to endure with no end in sight. Afraid, anxious, numb, trapped, sad, angry. These were the feelings I was wrestling with.
Luckily for Omega though, he had a server of friends, no, family, that could help him deal with Keyunna. Omega would tell the server about Keyunna, from him stealing clips to the harassment and stalking, and everyone was concerned for Omega and didn't want to deal with Keyunna alone. I did mention getting in contact with some of these people. Here's what they thought about Keyunna when Omega told them about him.
Yeah, I'm serious. I just kind of hang around. I don't really play a lot of multiplayer games. I kind of quit Smash way long ago.
I'm Genki. I just exist.
You just exist.
I just exist around Tri-State. That's all.
My tag is Frost. I used to play this game competitively back then.
So I heard that he was harassing a friend, and I have a lot of experience in dealing with all forms of people. So like, let me help out.
Mm-hmm.
And after seeing what was going on, it was like obsessive stalkerish. So I was like, ooh, that's not good.
Oh yeah.
And I see that he was being pretty passive about it, and I telling him that sometimes being passive is not the best choice, even if you are being firm.
Mm-hmm.
There are occasions where I'll just say it like it is. Sometimes a good slap in the face really, sets things straight.
I first heard of him from Omega.
So it's like
first from Omega, and then from a friend of mine, a PM player, who's also heard about it. Who's also heard about him.
So Omega filled all of us in. I can't remember when it was, but I know this was like 2021, early 2021. He revealed to the server that he was being stalked. Mm-hmm. Now, I had no idea about it, nor did John or anybody else, but all I knew was that he was being stalked, and then as I tried to step in a little bit and asked about like who is this guy who's stalking you, then Sirius, then Omega, and a bunch of other people who were deeper into the Smash scene than I was filled me in on Yuki and how much of a crazy stalker he was. So, long story short, I basically figured out about him during my time in this server. Yeah.
So the way he promises something and then he lies, or he's very deceptive, it was a lot of cat and mouse whack-a-mole with him. It was talking to him. I was being diplomatic at first. That's always my policy. Mm-hmm. I'm nice. I give people 3 chances, and then after those 3 shots are up, it's like, the gloves come off because I gave you an opportunity. That's when the slap in the face comes in. So it was on Twitter. No, it was on Discord first, and then it was Twitter, and then it was on Instagram, and then I ended up making a whole thread on Twitter. And then just out of the first few interactions, and just probably 2 months ago, I came into a server because he was harassing somebody else, and I was thinking, he's just going to keep doing it. He's going to keep coming out of the woodworks. So I brought up the law. I showed him all the forms that he's actually legally potentially able to be in trouble. Impersonation, harassment, defamation, all manners. It was a good list. Including cyberbullying. And he did promise he's going to stop, which he clearly hasn't, because then I saw him get called out again like 1 month later, which was promptly deleted by him.
Yeah.
By somebody else. So it's like, he did promise. He seemed scared, which I'm not. I want you to. I'm not looking for fear. I'm just looking for you to, stop pestering people. That's really all. It doesn't cost money to be genuine and be nice. You just gotta stop imitating people. It's not that hard.
Seeing a few tweets about him stealing content and also talking mad shit.
Let's see. There's a lot actually, but there's this one specific moment where I actually caught him on Twitter once stealing a clip, because I can't remember who it was, but someone in this server at that time showed me like, hey, this guy stole a clip again. You want to sick him or something or whatnot? I can't remember. But I remember seeing a clip that someone in here proved that was stolen. And I actually hunted down his Twitter and saw, like, yeah, this was the guy that people were telling me about. And once I finally saw it, as well as seeing how Omega showed like a bunch of stuff that he did, and that right there is what made me realize, dude, this guy is serious. And so then that's when the whole server, or at least the people who wanted to participate, we all rallied together and said we were going to stop him for good.
After some help, support, and defense from his server, Omega finally decided that he had enough of Keyunna's harassment.
One day, I thought enough was enough. I was tired of ignoring him. I was tired of pretending that everything was alright. Tired of the wishful thinking that he would eventually stop. What I needed was action. What I needed was a purpose. He needed a purpose too, because surely that wasn't healthy from him either.
This, dear viewers, is where we can go back to the timeline. On November 11th, 2021, Omega posted a thread on Twitter calling out Keyunna for not only harassment and stalking, but also stealing Omega's videos, impersonation, censoring Omega, and overall toxicity. Omega would challenge Keyunna to a first to 10 on Super Smash Flash 2, which to Omega was a way to fight through all the harassment Keyunna was throwing at him.
That purpose, defeat me in a first to 10 in Super Smash Flash 2. Plain and simple. With this newly endowed purpose that I bestowed upon him, he was a lot more predictable, which helped me to at least cope and have a bit of a breather before the match. It also helped me because at least I knew that there was a purpose for the suffering I had endured, so I could be more focused on the things that actually mattered.
If Keyunna won, he could keep doing whatever he wanted. If Omega wins, Keyunna would have to stop harassing, stalking, stealing, etc., and apologize to everyone publicly for what he did. Omega would be done with Keyunna after the first to 10. During the thread, Omega posts his DMs with Keyunna, recording Keyunna's reaction to Omega calling him out. Keyunna at first mocked the call out by copying and pasting what Omega posted and turning it into his version of the call out. Omega criticized Keyunna for having his account be private, called him a coward, and told him to stop taking his clips. Keyunna would double down on having his account be private, saying Omega doesn't run his account, and saying that he is better than Omega. Keyunna even tells Omega to stop playing Marth and posts a lot of tweets saying that Omega quit playing Marth. Then he fakes a screenshot of Omega saying that he quit playing Marth. This screenshot by itself is stupid, but we'll be here all day if I go into detail. Keyunna would then send Omega a screen recording of him reporting Omega's tweets for targeted abuse. Omega would stand his ground, once again calling Keyunna a coward and asking him why he should care about what Keyunna says. Keyunna then states that he's going to get on Super Smash Flash 2, but that he can't because he has work. Omega reminds him that they agreed to do it on Saturday, to leave him and everyone else alone until then. Keyunna then accuses Omega of talking shit, and Omega states that all he did was tell others about what Keyunna was doing. Then there's some more back and forth, with Keyunna saying he's angry, insulting Omega, saying he's going to beat him on Saturday, and saying he's better. After seeing there's no getting through to Keyunna, Omega ends the conversation and stops responding to Keyunna. Keyunna would then mass tweet, tagging Omega in each one. Omega then in the thread tells Keyunna to leave him alone, play him on Saturday, and restates the conditions of the first to 10. Omega ends the thread with Keyunna saying that he reported Omega's tweets and account. Unfortunately for Omega and Keyunna, the first to 10 wouldn't happen. That Saturday morning, Omega found out that Keyunna's Twitter account was banned. While Omega knew that this ended the harassment temporarily, he knew that his situation with Keyunna wasn't over.
It was a shame that Twitter decided to unban him the morning of our match. However, with it, he was gone with the moment. I had relief from his volleys, but the conflict didn't end. I knew that, and this was just prolonging it. I decided not to worry about the future. The war was not over, but merely at a ceasefire. So with that peace, I tried to recover. However, I felt like a husk of my former self. Something was not right. It wasn't normal. Tried as I might, but those scars were still with me to this day.
Omega wasn't the only one in this server to be dealing with Keyunna's harassment and clip stealing.
What's good, y'all? It's underscore Tekka. That's my username really everywhere. On Instagram is Simple Tip. 5 hit. Yeah, that's me.
Alright.
The Marth man.
On November 29th and 30th of 2021, a player named Tekka would post on Twitter and Instagram about Keyunna, calling Keyunna out for stealing Tekka's clips, Twitter banner, and impersonation. This post made me see that Keyunna was a problem, and he lost all credibility for me, as I discussed with Nautilus after the post came out. Let's break down each of these claims. For the Twitter banner, it's obvious. Look at Tekka's Twitter banner he had before, the one he has now. Look at Keyunna's Twitch banner that's in the post. See the difference? Keyunna scribbled over Tekka's other socials, so the box is blank. For clip stealing, that's obvious as well. If we go back to Tekka's post, we'll see a montage posted by Keyunna on YouTube impersonating Tekka going by the username It's Tekka11. If you look through Tekka's page on Instagram, you'll find a montage posted by Tekka on July 12, 2021. I compared that to the video posted by Keyunna. Same clip and the same transition. Stolen. Impersonation, well, if it wasn't proven by the YouTube account, there's more proof that can be added. Once again, going back to the post on Tekka's Twitter at the time, there are Discord messages from Keyunna's server. If you look at the messages from November 30th, 2021, there are 2 Tekkas in the server, one in yellow and one in white. The one in yellow says that they wish they were someone else, and the one in white says that the one in yellow is impersonating him. So how can we tell who was who? As if that last screenshot didn't tell us. Well, luckily for us, Tekka already posted about it. Looking at various tweets from the time, Tekka clarifies his accounts, including his Twitter pages, YouTube channel, Instagram page, and Twitch. So, if we do some simple matching, we'll see that the Tekka in white is the real Tekka, while the one in yellow was Keyunna impersonating Tekka. Keyunna also posted on his Instagram story that he had 4 tags that he went by, and if anyone saw those tags around, it was him. While we can say for sure that Yuki and the anime kid are Keyunna, Tekka is not his tag, and I can't confirm that Astro was his tag either, because someone who went by that tag defended Keyunna when Storm called him out earlier as mentioned in Act 1. So either the defender let Keyunna use their tag, or Keyunna posted that Astro did not know of it. Regardless, all the claims Tekka posted are valid. So how did Keyunna react to this call out? By ranting about it in the server. In Keyunna's server on November 29th, 2021, Keyunna says that he's starting to not trust people on social media. Which, good on you. And he's afraid that someone in the server is going to write out whatever he said to someone else on Twitter. That someone being Tekka. A response to that was someone saying why would Keyunna be afraid of repeating something, as there would be no point in writing him out. Keyunna would then deny that he stole anything from Tekka, then states that he needs to fight Tekka in a Marth ditto, and states that he's going to quote unquote beat the fuck out of him. He then posts a screenshot of one of Tekka's Twitter comments, with the comment siding with Tekka. Keyunna would then say he hates himself and wishes he was someone else. This is when Tekka would pop into the server and tell everyone in the server that Keyunna was impersonating him and that he stole the aforementioned montage of his. After this, according to Tekka, Keyunna banned Tekka from the server after he addressed the issue. Unfortunately, Tekka's first call out wasn't effective enough, so Tekka made another post about Keyunna impersonating him again on January 24th and 25th of 2022. This post was more about spreading awareness that Keyunna was still doing the same actions that Tekka called him out for. Tekka would post screenshots of Keyunna going around sending people friend requests, and according to Tekka, he tried to convince them that he was the real Tekka. Unfortunately for Keyunna, people already knew who Tekka was, so people would call him out for it. One of the posts Tekka made was a screen recording someone trolling Keyunna in Discord DMs, calling him out for impersonating Tekka while Keyunna is having a meltdown. If it wasn't apparent enough, Keyunna was tired of people not believing him, so he would get aggressively defensive when people called out his impersonation, and Keyunna went around talking shit about Tekka every chance he got. Keyunna would even comment on one of Tekka's YouTube videos. At this point, Tekka was done with Keyunna and would call him out to play him in Smash. Did the match ever happen? Not to my knowledge, but Keyunna would fight someone eventually. Alright, first question. How did you first hear about Keyunna?
We were like, I had him on my Instagram, like, you know, that era where everybody would post clips.
Mm-hmm.
Like, sometimes we would actually talk, and I would like give him advice. That's how I met him through Instagram. And everybody was posting clips.
When did you first notice they were taking your clips for themselves?
We had like this conversation. I guess somebody on Twitter said they were taking his clips. I believe at that time he was taking Omega's clips, the other Marth main.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's how. And then he hit me up. I guess he got mad because because I wasn't on his side when he was taking people's clips, and then he started doing some weird stuff. And next thing you know, he's taking my clips, my Twitch banner, and all that.
Yeah, I remember that post too. Like, it was a banner, and then it's funny too. I looked at it, all he did was just erase your socials from. I'm just like, really? Like,
Yeah, and like most of the people around that time knew me, like on the Smash scene. They know, and they know he's known for stealing clips. So I don't know what he was trying to do.
how did Keyunna respond to you calling them out? Like, after you posted, like, did they respond at all?
Yeah, he was trying to say like he was the real Tekka and all this other stuff, but that didn't go well because everybody was like, I know Tekka and you're not him. So
Yeah, good luck. I know the real person. You think you're him. Like, nah, dude. How did that incident affect you? Was your following or well-being impacted after that?
it was just like a lot of unnecessary drama that didn't need to happen.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Especially after you send my clips. Like, I gotta call you out on that. Like,
Yeah, and then certain people hit me up asking me like if it was true or not, or like people that he know, and just like a bunch of drama on Discord, Instagram, and Twitter.
The same day, on January 25th, 2022, Omega would come back into the picture with a lengthy Twitter thread detailing a recorded history with Keyunna, making his DMs public for future proof. Now, this is quite a lengthy section because this thread goes all the way until February, so I have to ask that even if you have a shitty intentions, man, please bear with me. The thread starts with Omega calling out Keyunna in DMs. Omega also challenged Keyunna to fight him in a 1-5 Marth did on Ultimate, and that he would play him no matter what. This time, Omega had more initiative to play Keyunna because Keyunna was going around harassing Omega's friends, and that was a trigger for him.
For the second instance, this time, I was in control. However, I was still hurt from it. My purpose within this was protection. I initiated the confrontation because I heard that Yuki was doing what he did to me, to my friends, my family. That was it. That was the trigger. Enough was enough for me. I knew he had to get justice, and no one, from what I saw, was willing to do it completely and thoroughly as I had. I did what I did. I did it hard, fast, calculated, and also as merciful as was needed. I also did it with my friends to help me and to make sure I wasn't alone.
Keyunna says that he's streaming at the moment, so he's not paying attention to Omega fully. Omega says he doesn't care and asks Keyunna to accept his challenge. Omega also goes into Keyunna's server and lets everyone in there know that Keyunna was harassing, stalking, and impersonating him and others who support Omega. After around 20 minutes, Keyunna accepts Omega's challenge, and then Omega lays out some terms, those being the same terms from the first time that they were supposed to fight, with added terms that if Omega won, Keyunna had to have an original rebrand, publicly apologize to everyone he has harassed, not interact with anyone he's harassed, state that he's a fraud, and forget about Omega and his friends. Omega asks Keyunna to confirm that he read the terms, and Keyunna takes the terms that Omega put forth and copy-pastes it, replacing the pronouns in it, but Omega treats it as confirmation. It wouldn't take long for Keyunna to find out that Omega was posting their DMs on Twitter. Keyunna would tell Omega to stop doing so, but Omega declined, saying that he's not taking any chances and that he's not letting Keyunna run away this time. Keyunna would then send a message to everyone and tell those who he had issues with to join the server and fight him. He also said that he would use all the trash talk that was going around about him as fuel in the Smash battles. Which, okay then. He would also send links to his server and Omega's server, and also send his Smash roster. Now remember this roster for later. As for the last thing Keyunna would send to Omega, is screenshots of other players on Twitter showing their support for Omega and his friends and dunking on Keyunna. Before tweeting out the links to the servers, Omega makes Keyunna promise that he won't ban, mute, or delete messages from others who join the server. Keyunna says he won't as long as people quote-unquote don't do anything stupid in my Discord. Omega asks for clarification as to what counts as something stupid enough to ban someone. Keyunna says he's not sure, but says that saying disrespectful things like he's a bad person and or player. Omega again asks Keyunna to clarify how disrespectful people can get since he's banned people in the past for just suggesting it. Keyunna again says he doesn't know, so Omega lays out some terms that are ban-worthy. He also says that if people join Keyunna's server and are toxic, then he's not responsible for that and he doesn't condone people being toxic to Keyunna. While looking over Keyunna's server, Omega notices that the rules channel is suspect. If you read them, they seem like common sense at first, but then the rules start getting a bit self-centered by Rule 7. If you look underneath the rules and check the roles, there's something that's off. Keyunna has a role called jerks, aka prisoners, for people he doesn't like or have been disrespectful in the server. Keyunna also states below the roles that if someone disrespects him by calling him names or lying on him for something he didn't do, he would kick or ban them. Omega also notes the screenshots and screen recordings in the server, proving that Keyunna stalks multiple people's pages on Twitter. Friends of Omega would join Keyunna's server, and Omega would notice that he and some of his other friends had the jerk role as mentioned earlier. Keyunna will also go back on his word and end up muting someone in the server named Chad. Are you really surprised? You know what Chad got muted for? Making a joke about Drake. Apparently, according to Chad, Keyunna said that Drake was a bad rapper, and Chad joked that calling Drake a bad rapper would hurt Drake's feelings. Keyunna decided that joke was worthy of deleting his message and muting Chad for 7 hours. 7 hours! After asking Keyunna to unmute Chad, Keyunna said he would. However, according to Chad, he only got the timer shortened instead. Way to soften the blow, Keyunna. Omega quickly goes over again how Keyunna stole from Tekka, with Keyunna calling Tekka the fake Tekka again, and sending a screenshot of how he's going to change his Instagram name to either It's Tekka or Tekka SSB. Omega even sends a screenshot of Keyunna copying what Tekka said on Twitter almost word for word. Omega also shows how Keyunna copied Omega himself, with Omega talking about how he wants a mod done for him, and Keyunna messaging the same thing in Discord, again almost copying what Omega said word for word. It's also worth noting that Keyunna stole and used Omega's profile picture on Instagram at one point as well. Moving past that, Omega then clarifies how the first to 5 will work and asks Keyunna if he understands. Keyunna said that Omega was ruining his practice by messaging him, and Omega again asks if Keyunna understood the rules. Keyunna again says that he's busy grinding, and then sends the part of the thread where Omega says that Keyunna stole from him. Omega states that Keyunna just provided proof that he stalks Omega since he just posted that at the time, and Keyunna didn't have a Twitter account at that time. Omega then calls out Keyunna for said stalk and asks Keyunna if he was supposed to be grinding. Hey, I was going to ask that question as well. Good on you, Omega. After realizing he's getting off track, Omega asks once again if Keyunna understood the rules of the first to 5. Keyunna again goes off track and asks Omega how he got the screenshot of Keyunna copying Tekka's Twitter post, but Omega isn't having it and keeps asking. Keyunna says he won't answer until Omega answers his question, and once again, Omega isn't having it, saying he asked his question first. Keyunna then threatens to block Omega on Instagram, so he asks what Omega's Instagram is, then says he'll answer Omega's question. But before Omega can respond by asking Keyunna to answer the question, he suddenly can't send messages to Keyunna anymore. This is more likely because, as Omega pointed out, Keyunna banned Omega from both of his servers. If you look at the message that Omega got after trying to DM Keyunna, it says that he couldn't DM him because the user either only accepts DMs from friends, or because he and the user don't share any servers. Another off-topic thing that Omega posted in the thread was how he and another user by the name of Drifter couldn't access the voice channels anymore. For context, Drifter was streaming Project Plus, but Omega asked Keyunna to give them access to No Mic. Shortly after asking and getting confirmation by Keyunna about doing so, Omega and Drifter were confused as to why they couldn't see the voice channels anymore, while one of Omega's friends, Genki, had no problem with the voice channels. Omega sends a screenshot of his Discord, and it shows that there are no voice channels available, which confused Genki. Omega would ask Keyunna about what happened, telling him that he violated his promise he made of not banning, muting, or deleting messages from anyone. Back on track, Omega would then call Keyunna out in the thread, saying that he wasn't done with them, that he was infringing on his promise again. He also tells Keyunna to accept his friend request and asks him what he has to lose. Keyunna then accepts it again, and Omega again asks if Keyunna understands the rules of the first to 5. Omega notes that Keyunna went offline, accusing Keyunna of trying to dodge him. Omega then tells Keyunna to unban him from both of his servers, and he gives in and answers Keyunna's question to make him answer his, but he can't message Keyunna because he was banned from both of his servers again. After about a week on February 5th, 2022, Omega updated the thread again. Keyunna starts by asking if Omega is angry, and Omega counters this by saying Keyunna ran away from him. Omega then asks Keyunna to answer his question since he answered his, and Keyunna says that he'll answer when he wants to. Omega calls him out for this and asks for the unban. Keyunna then stated that he banned Omega. Omega would then show that he was talking to a lawyer and that Keyunna could go to jail for what he did, under the guise of stealing intellectual property in New York law section 190.25. After a conversation with one of Omega's friends, Keyunna changed his Discord tag back to Yuki and stopped impersonating Tekka on social media. Keyunna says he'll fight Omega and asks Omega to fight right then and there. Omega declines, saying that everyone in his house is asleep. Omega gives Keyunna dates on when he'll be available to play Keyunna, but unfortunately, Keyunna says he won't be able to make it on those dates. After finally confirming that Keyunna knows the rules of the first to 5, Omega asks when Keyunna is open to doing a first to 5. After some more schedule conflicts, Keyunna shows that he changed his tag back to Yuki to Omega. Omega then tells Keyunna that when they fight to make sure the tag in the arena is the same as Keyunna's Discord. Keyunna then asks Omega what was special about Tekka, and Omega says Tekka was his friend, and that he was doing the same thing to him that he's doing to Omega at the moment, and it's not okay. Now, this next part might be a bit disturbing to some, so I will warn you, there is talk of depression and going down a sewer slide. If you don't want to watch this part, you can skip ahead. If you can handle it, go ahead and continue. Are we good? Okay. Before posting the next screenshots, Omega states that he knew what Keyunna was doing. Keyunna is an attention seeker and a liar, and he'll do anything for said attention or to run and hide from people. Omega also says that he saw some inconsistency with what Keyunna said and some events that made him see what Keyunna did next was to hide from him. Omega then goes back to the DMs, which show Keyunna calling himself a piece of shit, a nobody, and saying, quote unquote, "God, depression feels so great." That is a drastic turnaround for a message that happened 3 minutes later in the DMs. Omega says that he's not falling for it. Keyunna then says that he's going to, how do I say this? Smash self-destruct. Yeah, we'll go with that. Omega then says that even though he doesn't believe Keyunna, he tells him to not throw himself off stage and to call the hotline if Keyunna is being genuine. Then Keyunna says that Omega doesn't have to believe him, and then types out that he's wrapping a belt around his neck. And Omega calls him out for this, saying that he's typing. Which, yeah, what the fuck? Keyunna then says that Omega won't hear or see him again. Also, as Omega explains, if you look back at the screenshot where Keyunna asked to get this over with before his uncle got home, that message was sent roughly an hour ago, so Omega thought that Keyunna's uncle would have been home by then. Omega then adds that Keyunna was talking about being depressed and wanting to commit the hero kamikaze in his server and waiting in VC for an hour. After that fiasco, Keyunna banned Omega from his server again and blocked him 30 minutes later. A few days later, someone went into Keyunna's server and viciously chewed Keyunna out for his behavior. I think it's better if I read these out, because, man, I felt the energy in this. Hello everyone. Please remain calm as the circumstances unfold. Good evening, Yuki. I am one of Omega's friends. Ever since I caught wind of you last year, I've been exposed to your unacceptable antics, which includes, but is not limited to, stalking people, harassing people, plagiarizing others' content, and impersonating people whom you are jealous of because of your insecurities. And, to add to that list, after showing to you that we can get a case in the court of law, acting like you all of a sudden have depression and thus threatening suicide to anyone that you do not like in hopes to gain some sort of pity from them by guilt tripping. As someone who actually has depression and someone who has dealt with and still deals with suicidal thoughts, I am beyond disgusted by your childish actions. You are too fucking old to be acting like this. 23 should not be the age where you act like the biggest piss baby on the fucking planet. Furthermore, let me be the first to tell you just how fucking inexcusable your actions are. You don't just get depression by being exposed. If there's one thing you're feeling that isn't depression, it's fear. You're afraid. You are afraid of being caught. You are afraid of being exposed for your actions. Stop trying to guilt trip us to think you will commit suicide, because we all know you're doing it as a cry for attention and to get us off your back. You'll just sit there in your sweat-covered bed, crying, scared, and begging for sympathy, when we all know you don't deserve it. Mental illness does not give you a fucking excuse to pull off some of the bullshit you did. Impersonating to defame someone, actively stalking multiple people, and furthermore, making one of my friends a fucking husk of his normal self. In the newest incident, faking depression and threatening suicide. good fucking God, you are scum. As you said to Omega, you are a piece of shit. You are a nobody. Don't even get me started on depression never felt so good. Once again, if you didn't get the fucking message before, stop faking this. We know you're faking it. This seemingly endless pain does not feel good in the slightest. If you actually had depression, you know exactly how it feels, you fucking man-child. Own up to your actions and quit with the stupid, I'm the hero king persona. You were clearly insecure about yourself and jealous of others. If you were the hero king, you wouldn't be committing these despicable acts. More like the vengeful peasant, for lack of a better term. I cannot deny you had depression, nor can I confirm it, but it is highly likely you don't. The goddamn roleplay you did with Omega to try and guilt trip him is a fucking horrendous act. Why would you even think about doing that? Did you really think he believed you, you delusional fuckwit? Did you think that typing down some dumbass shit like, ooh woo, ties belty around necky would work? You are basically insulting everyone on the fucking planet who actually struggles with that shit, including me. In fact, I'm going to tell you just exactly how depression really feels. The pain I feel is unimaginable. It is the result of years of constant hurt, from close family deaths at an early age, such as my mother at the age of 5, to being bullied relentlessly and called slurs, all because I simply killed someone in a video game, which is an action as small as your fucking brain. I really had depression ever since I was 5, but I never actually knew about it until I was 8 to 10. Since then, I've had multiple mental breakdowns, multiple self-harming cases, even a fucking attempt. Do you see now, Yuki? This is real pain. Depression does not ferment itself because you got exposed as a stalker. You are just like the boy who cried wolf. You repeatedly tell people you're going to commit suicide, and then when they see you, you don't do it and come back completely fine a few minutes later. Do you know how fucking evil that is? Does little boy Yuki understand the circumstances? We all hope you leave us alone forever and never stalk another person again, you fucking creep. You don't just up and say, I'm gonna kill myself, as you've been met with exposure that makes you eligible for prosecution. You don't just say that to try and gain sympathy for despicable actions. Grow a pair. You brought this on yourself. Stop looking for scapegoats to try and get people to not hold you accountable. And with that, I leave you to rethink your life choices. Karma is coming for you, and it's not going to hold back like we did. It's going to come in its full, raw, chaotic force. Now, you might be wondering who was behind the ghost account, and luckily, I got to talk to them. I mean, I think somebody, I don't know who, but they went after, like, I think Yuki broke down to Omega and, like, being like, and all that. I remember somebody went to a server and was like, dude, you do not know what depression is. You do not know what's like to be.
Oh!
You doing way too much. Like, you need to accept this friend request or we will go to court with this. I'm just like,
oh,
Jesus Christ.
by the way, that was actually me.
That was you?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was, I cannot believe you started talking about this. Okay, I'll explain. So, long story short, like, at this time, and I still kind of do, I had bouts with depression and all. Mm-hmm. And the thing that made me realize, like, how, like, urgently his antics needed to be stopped was when I started seeing, like, how he was making quote unquote suicidal threats because he was getting backed into a corner, basically. Mm-hmm. What we did was we put together an idea that I would go in to his server as a ghost account. We called it the Ghost. Mm-hmm. It was literally like, had an invisible name, invisible profile pic, nothing. We used that to spy on him to see if he was plotting anything to, you know, try and worm his way out of doing the first attempt with Omega, because pretty sure you've already researched this, but basically Omega wanted him to stop stalking him.
Yeah.
For once and for all, so he decided to basically pull him into a first of 10. Yeah. Whoever won the first of 10 would get blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So if Omega won, Yuki would stop it, and if Yuki won, he's like, okay, fine, go away, whatever.
But like, yeah, I caught him trying to puff himself up again with the ghost account. I actually have a few pictures of him flashing his GSP on quick play as well as fighting against bots. But no, like going back to the whole ghost account thing, basically we had this breakdown where emotions are high, people were screaming, people were yelling. Basically his server got like raided in a way. And when I saw that he trying to basically fake being suicidal, and I could tell that he was faking it, because I mean I hate to change the mood, but I mean I have dealt with that before. He tried to fake it. He tried to say all this stuff about, like, you know, oh, poor me, I'm going through this, that, and the other, I'm getting called out, poor me. And then that's when I, through the ghost account, basically snapped on him, and everyone else in that call at that time knew that I snapped, because I was cursing, I was yelling, I was doing X, Y, and Z. I was just angry. I mean, yeah, this was coming from a younger me, but regardless, yeah, I was like really, 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 really angry.
So I could definitely tell when Omega put in his throat the ghost account message. I'm just like, dude, this man got some intensity. Like, he is not playing around. Like, I could tell like somebody went through that with all that passion, all that extreme in that message. I'm just like, yeah, you are not playing around. I was angry, very, very, very angry. Yeah, I could tell. And I'll say that's probably the thing that I contributed to the most, because I let him whiff, because through that ghost account, I basically let him know that Sirius, someone in here that left a long time ago named Beeswick, and a bunch of other people had some legal evidence on him that could get him thrown into jail. Ooh. Because he was of legal age. I think the charges that we all discussed would go on, because I went as far, because I was mad, of course. I went as far as to looking at the written law for this situation, so we could make absolute sure that all of our bases were covered, so he couldn't get out. And eventually we came upon the charges of stalking, impersonation, which would fall under identity fraud, harassment, and theft. Oh yeah. Those 4 charges, with the biggest offense being stalking. Wait, actually, that reminds me. Have you done research upon how he actually tried to fake having autism? Well, he's trying to fake it?
Yeah.
I did not. Whoa.
Yeah.
I thought this thing was like, he says he has Asperger's. It's like, okay, it's not an excuse, but like you're faking.
Yeah. It's just okay. So I need to probably rephrase that. It's not exactly faking it, but he uses that as like an excuse, like he just said. He uses it in a way that makes us believe that he really isn't, you know, autistic.
Yeah.
Like he's using that as a way to say, or as a way to basically cover how, for example, the whole like faking depression and faking suicide stuff. He basically used Asperger's as a coverall for that. That's also how I knew that he was faking being depressed and being suicidal. battle for attention.
Jeez, man. Honestly, I was literally just talking to John about this. It's like, bro, you can't keep using the fact that you have Asperger's as an excuse. Like, maybe if you use it once, I could maybe understand it. But if you just keep using it, it's like, bro, that shield is gonna break.
I know, and the worst part about it is that he thinks that, like, he can't control that, even though, like, if you really had Asperger's, you would be able to know, like, what happened and what not, and what, and, like, what didn't happen. He's 24, ain't he? He's probably, like, what, 25 right now?
Yeah, he's 25.
It's almost like... Oh no, he's 25! Oh no!
Oh my god. Like, come on. Like, bro, you're 25, you're still using that as an excuse. Like, bro, I know, like, if you literally tell a person with Asperger's, hey, this is what you don't do, I guarantee they're not gonna do it. Like, you can't just keep doing this stuff and not be like, oh, I don't know what I do when I have Asperger's. Blah, blah, blah. No.
Yeah, so that right there is an explanation about why we all thought that he was faking it. I don't know if he's faking it or not, but there's a lot of evidence that points to the fact that he is faking that too.
After Keyunna sent the friend request, he and Omega would continue to discuss when they could do the first to 5. Now, I'll be honest, there isn't much in these messages as it's just Keyunna and Omega trying to sort through their scheduling conflicts, but I'll pull up some screenshots that show that Keyunna is broken from what Frost said to him. As you can see, he's breaking down to Omega in DMs and admits he wasn't a good player or a good person. Omega tells Keyunna to pull himself together and that he's just here to set up a date. He also gives a list of people that Keyunna will apologize to if he loses. Keyunna then notifies Omega that he switched his main to Joker, but he'll still play Marth in the first to 5. There's some more scheduling conflicts and Keyunna talking about playing on his uncle's Switch instead of his mom's, but that's not important to the video, so we're gonna move on. Keyunna decided to delete his old server after announcing he was switching his main. Moldrifter then asks Keyunna if he can unlock the voice channels, and Omega tells Keyunna to do so. After Keyunna agrees, someone else on the server calls out Keyunna for deleting a screenshot that they sent and wonders why Keyunna deleted it. Keyunna said they thought the user was quote-unquote trying to be funny, and the user responded by saying they didn't want trouble and just wanted to interact with others. Omega told Keyunna that he had no right to delete the screenshot and that he should have left it alone. Keyunna then accuses Omega of calling him a bad Marth, when there's proof in the thread that Keyunna called himself a bad Marth when Omega told him to chill out. Omega even says that he didn't say Keyunna was a bad Marth, he just says that he's seen worse. Genki would address this by saying that Keyunna did it to himself by being rude to others and stealing content. When Keyunna said he wanted to delete the message Genki sent, Genki responded by saying he didn't condone Keyunna's behavior, especially against his friends. He then tells Keyunna that he's not perfect and no one is, but he should own up to what he did. The rest of the messages are from Genki and Omega saying that Keyunna needs to change to improve himself, own up to his mistakes, and be grateful that Omega was merciful and didn't just go through with the case. The next few DMs finally showed that Omega and Keyunna's schedule is lined up for Saturday, February 19th, 2022 at noon. Keyunna says that he shouldn't play Marth in the first to 5 since people say he's a disgrace to the Marth community and the worst Marth player ever, and he stopped playing him permanently. Omega counters this by saying it's what Keyunna did that made people say that, and that he's seen worse. He told Keyunna to go Marth in the first to 5 since that's what they agreed to. Keyunna tries to double down, saying that since people told him he's a bad Marth, he dropped in that he was going to use Joker. Omega tries to clarify again that he never said he thought Keyunna was a bad Marth, and he shouldn't let what people say make him drop a character. He even tells Keyunna that he could have achieved his dream of becoming the best Marth player, but he was an asshole to everyone, which ruined his chances at doing so. He then tells Keyunna again to use Marth in the first to 5, and leaves with that. Omega then shows Keyunna changes his name again from Yuki to Kokoro, and Keyunna sending a Photoshop in the server of Jake Paul knocking out Tyron Woodley, saying that he was Jake and Omega was Tyron, and saying that he wasn't trying to be toxic. Yeah, sure buddy. Omega responds by saying that he doesn't care. Keyunna contradicts himself constantly, and Keyunna making that Photoshop is hypocritical. There's another set of screenshots of Omega inviting Keyunna to his server since Omega wasn't his, but those aren't that important for now, so let's skip over to the end. Keyunna and Omega finally did the first to 5. How do you all think it went? Did Keyunna win? If he lose in the close one, he get gentleman sweat. So that's Omega how it went.
We fought a first to 5 in Ultimate after a lot of planning and making sure that he had no other options to dodge out. I won easily. The score tally was 11-0 in a first to 5. I only uploaded the 5 games because those are the ones that mattered. The other 6 was his will to continue this, and me revoking him to run away with at least 1 win. I did what I had to stop him completely and fully from doing anything to me or my family.
Oh. Well, damn. Omega brought 2 brooms for that first to 5. So, yeah, Omega won the first to 5 in a clean, overwhelming sweep. After winning, it's time to heed to the terms that were agreed to. Omega told Keyunna that he wanted the apologies to everyone done by the end of the day, and everything else that Keyunna had to do was due the next day. Keyunna then proceeded to write an apology to Omega and everyone Omega listed, and he released a similar apology on Instagram. He also changed his Instagram username. And with that, Omega was done with Keyunna Burt. If you all want to watch the matches from the first to 5, I'll put the links to them down in the description. Just remember that Keyunna used the white Marth alt, as he posted before if you're confused about who's who. Congrats on making it through Act 2. I know that was a long one, but we're just about halfway there. Omega might have been done with Keyunna, but this isn't where the story ends. Even though Keyunna dug his grave and had to lie in it, let's just say he wanted to make that grave even deeper.
I know Big Skeleton IRL from when I've traveled around. We know each other IRL pretty well. Yuki tried to DM Big Skeleton that I was mad trash talking behind his back, and Yuki tried to DM me that Big Skeleton was mad trash talking behind my back while we were hanging out together IRL at that moment and just watching the DMs come by on both.
One of my places that I was working at the time for an internship at Metro Esports, they just gave me a happy birthday shout out, and then Leon came out of nowhere saying, "Yo, why you let this man work at your establishment and he harassed me," even though, again, not true at all. So what ended up happening with that was I got into the office the next day. Keep in mind, I didn't even see any of it. And they're like, "Yo, you gotta chill on Twitter." I was confused because, yes, my reputation wasn't great at the time. But I knew for a fact that I didn't do nothing wild, at least as of recent. So I was like confused. And then they showed me the thing. I'm like, oh, they now know. And eventually, due to that, my reputation got negatively affected. Eventually, the internship ran out. I didn't get renewed.
Basically, just tons of fucking shit talk. Like, really, really horrendous shit talk. Some threats of violence and some disrespectful comments, really.
Didn't they make a threat about trying to see you in MMA? I think somebody had a screenshot and like said that, you know, you were trained in that. Said it was like, you might not want to do that.
Yeah, I used to do judo for a few years, so...
Back then, he wasn't named Leon. His name was like Caden or something. And literally, my idiot friends gaslit him because he was in the chat like, "Hey, so what should I change my name to? I want to change my tag." And they were like, "Why don't you make it Leon with a capital N?" Just to troll me. So like a bunch of people were telling them like, "Yeah, change it to Leon with a capital N. That'll go hard." So he did. And then he's like, he's in the chat of the Discord saying shit with Leon, capital N SSB, like, I think I'm a gay transgender. I think I love dudes. And look, that's fine. Like, if that's what you are, like, sure. But I told them, like, hey, my friends were kind of messing with you. It'd be cool if you could kind of change your name just for this server so that people don't get us confused. And they flipped out on me. They blocked me. They were like, oh, why is this guy trying to tell me what to do as if there's not other Leons? And so since they blocked me, I kicked them out of the Discord. And then they sent me a tirade on Twitch just calling me stupid and worthless and ugly and saying I suck at the game and stuff.